You did everything they told you to do. You bought the covers, and you wrestle them on every fall and off every spring. You haul the cushions inside, you spray the protectant on the frames twice a season, and your set still looks tired. The metal is spotting with rust. The wood has gone gray and splintery. The wicker is cracking at the corners, and there is a green film of mildew on the arms no matter how often you wipe it. Meanwhile, in Japan, wooden benches sit in temple gardens through the rain and the sun for decades with no cover, no storage, no yearly trip to the hardware store, and they still look good. The reason is a handful of old techniques that treat wood and metal in a way the patio furniture aisle has never once suggested to you. Here is the part that stings. That cover you fight with every year is part of the problem, and so is the storage. I will show you why in a minute, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. We will do this in 2 parts. First, how to bring each piece back to clean, sound material. Then, how to finish it the Japanese way, so the fading and rust and mildew stop coming back. Before we go on, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We love seeing how far this story travels. And if you're loving it so far, join the family by hitting subscribe, because tomorrow we've got something special lined up just for you. Start with the thing nobody questions, the cover. On paper it makes sense. Keep the rain off, keep the furniture new. Here is what actually happens. The sun warms your set all day. You throw a cover over it. The temperature drops at night, the warm air trapped underneath hits the cool fabric, and it condenses into water. Now a pocket of damp air sits against your wood and metal for 12 hours with no way to dry. Mold loves that. Rust loves that. Rot loves it most of all. A covered set in a humid climate often rots faster than one left in the open, because the open one at least dries between rains. Storage in a damp shed does the same thing, and it costs you the whole reason you bought outdoor furniture. The Japanese worked this out long ago. Rot and rust need trapped moisture. Wood and iron survive outdoors as long as air can reach them and water can leave. There is even a traditional practice for it, mushiboshi, airing belongings out on clear, dry days so mold and insects never take hold. The instinct is not to seal things away, it is to let them breathe. So, before anyone tells me a cover keeps the rain off, you are right, it does. It also keeps the moisture in. That is the trade nobody prints on the box. Now let us bring the furniture back, starting with wood. If you have a teak, cedar, or acacia set, the gray you see is not dirt and not rot, at least not yet. It is a thin, dead layer on the surface. Sunlight breaks down lignin, the natural glue that holds the fibers together, and that broken layer turns gray and lifts into splinters. Do not sand it and do not pressure wash it. Reach for oxalic acid wood bleach, sold as wood brightener for about $12. Mix a few ounces of crystals into a gallon of warm water. Brush it on, wait 15 minutes, scrub lightly along the grain, and rinse. The gray runs off brown, and the warm color returns. The same wash clears the mildew, because mildew is just spores feeding on that soft, dead layer, and once it is gone, they have nothing to eat. And before someone tells me to just blast it with a pressure washer, please do not. The pressure drives water deep into the wood and shreds the soft grain, so the furniture looks clean for 10 minutes, then dries out cracked and rots from the inside. The oxalic acid does the same job without forcing water where it does not belong. For metal, the enemy is rust, and the mistake is painting over it. Rust keeps spreading under fresh paint and blisters it off within a year. Knock the loose flakes off with a wire brush, then treat what is left with a tannin-based rust converter. This is worth understanding, because it is the same chemistry inside the wood finish we are about to use. Tannins react with the iron oxide and turn it into a stable black compound that stops spreading and grips the new finish. Aluminum will not rust but can go chalky, and a wash and a buff bring it back. Synthetic wicker and resin just get washed with soapy water, and that is about all you can do, because ultraviolet light breaks the plastic down at a level you cannot reverse. Once it is clean, fix anything loose, because a good finish on a wobbly chair is a wasted afternoon. Traditional Japanese furniture uses a joinery called sashimono, where the pieces interlock and hold, without a single nail or screw, cut so the wood can move as it swells and shrinks, instead of tearing itself apart. Most patio furniture is just screwed together. and the wood moving over the seasons works those screws loose. So reseat every loose joint and do not crank the screws down hard, because that crushes the wood and strips the hole. Snug is the goal. Swap rusted bolts for stainless ones for a couple of dollars, and they will never bleed a stain down a chair leg again. If a slat is cracked through, replace just that slat. You do not throw out the chair. The Japanese call the idea kintsugi, mending a broken bowl with gold along the cracks, so the repair becomes part of the object. A fresh slat will not match at first, and that is fine. The finish pulls everything into one tone within a season. Now the part that actually earns the word Japanese, and where almost everyone goes wrong. Everything on the store shelf is a film. Spar varnish, polyurethane, the glossy sealers, they all dry into a hard skin on top of the wood. And wood outdoors never stops moving. It swells in the rain and shrinks in the dry, and that rigid skin cannot move with it, so it cracks, water creeps under, and the finish peels off in sheets. Every coat you add makes it more rigid and peels faster. That is the whole reason your last 3 attempts failed. The Japanese finishes do the opposite. They go into the wood instead of onto it. The real old one is Kakishibu, the fermented juice of unripe astringent persimmons, used for centuries on wood, paper, fishing nets, and umbrella cloth. It is loaded with tannins that soak into the fibers and harden there, waterproofing the wood from the inside while the surface still breathes, and those tannins are naturally antifungal, so it fights mildew too. Here is the part that flips the hardware store logic. Kakishibu darkens and cures in sunlight. The ultraviolet light that grays your wood and cracks your varnish actually makes Kakishibu deeper and tougher. You brush on a few thin coats, let the sun set each one, and you get a warm brown finish where water beads and nothing peels. You can order it online, and if you want color and even more sun resistance, the traditional move is to mix in Bengara, an iron oxide pigment that blocks ultraviolet light on its own. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel, it means a lot to us. Now back to the story. The second option is simpler if you would rather not hunt down persimmon extract, and it works the same way. A penetrating oil. Pure tung oil, or a good penetrating wood finish, rubbed into the bare wood along the grain, left 20 minutes, then wiped down. The oil lives in the fibers and protects from within, the surface still breathes, and moisture can still leave. On teak, it is really just topping up the oils the wood already has. Reapply once a year and it stays warm instead of gray. There is a museum-grade third option, urushi, Japanese lacquer from the sap of the lacquer tree, waterproof and durable enough that pieces from centuries ago still survive. But it takes many coats over weeks and gives most people a poison ivy rash while it cures, so no, you are not urushing your patio chairs this weekend. And yes, if you saw the fence video, yakisugi works on a cedar bench too. For most sets, Kakishibu, or a good oil, is the finish that makes sense. That handles the wood. For metal, once the rust is treated, the finishing touch is a coat of paste wax, the kind used on cars, wiped on and buffed off in a few minutes. It sheds water and takes 2 minutes to redo. This is how the Japanese have kept cast iron for centuries. The famous Nanbu ironware kettles stay rust-free by one habit above all, never letting water sit on the metal. So wipe your metal down after a hard rain when you can, or angle the tabletops a hair so water runs off instead of pooling. For the cushions, here is the honest truth. The best thing you can do is what the cover was supposed to do, without the mold. Do not store them damp, and do not seal them under anything airtight. On a dry, breezy day, stand them on their edges and let the air move through. A deck box with ventilation gaps works, but only if they go in bone dry. Since the whole promise is no covers and no storage, make the furniture able to live outside on its own. The rule is the one the Japanese use on a fence post standing in wet ground for 70 years. Keep moisture from getting trapped. Lift the feet of your chairs and tables slightly off the ground with glides or caps so they are not wicking up water. Do not shove pieces tight against a damp wall, where no air moves behind them. Leave a finger width of space. If a tabletop holds a puddle, prop one side a fraction so it drains. It all does the same thing. It lets air reach the wood and lets water leave, which is why the temple bench outlasts your patio set. Timing matters more than people think. Finish on a warm, dry day, with the wood between 60 and 80 degrees, in spring or early autumn, when the fibers are open and the finish moves in fast. Kakishibu especially wants a run of clear days so the sun can cure each coat. Never treat wood that is cold or wet, because it cannot absorb anything and the finish stays tacky for weeks. And here is the irony. Most people do the wrong thing at the wrong time, sealing a slightly damp set under a cover in late autumn, trapping the wettest air of the year against the wood all winter. That is not protecting the furniture. That is composting it slowly. Let us talk money, because this is where it stops being close. Kakishibu runs around $30 to $40 online, and a little goes far. Tung oil is about 40 a gallon. The wood bleach is 12, paste wax is around 10, a wire brush and rags another 10, stainless screws a few dollars. Your whole kit is under $100 and treats a full set with plenty left over. Yearly upkeep after that is one light coat and a wipe down, well under $30 a year. Now compare. Covers are $40 to over $100 each and crack in a couple of seasons, so you rebuy. Sprays are 20 a can, and when the set finally gives up, because it has been rotting under that cover the whole time, a new one runs $800 to $3,000 and up. The Japanese way is cheaper on day one, and the gap only widens. Here is the plan for the next dry weekend. First, clean and restore everything. Bleach the gray from the wood, knock the rust off the metal and treat it. Wash the synthetic pieces, and let it all dry for a day or two. On the next dry day, do the repairs and the finish. Reseat the joints, swap in stainless hardware, replace cracked slats, then brush on the Kakishibu or rub in the oil and wax the metal. That is the whole job. From then on, once a year in spring, give the wood a light coat, buff fresh wax onto the metal, air out the cushions, and check that nothing is standing in water. A Saturday morning, and it is the last time your furniture needs you for the better part of a year. The real lesson is not about persimmon juice or paste wax. It is about a way of thinking. There is a Japanese idea called wabi-sabi, and a companion one, mono no aware, that both come down to accepting that things age and finding a real beauty in the wear instead of fighting it. Weathered wood with a warm patina is not a failure. A set you have tended for 20 years is worth more than one you hid under a tarp and replaced twice. Almost everything the patio furniture industry sells you is built on the opposite idea. Fight the weather, wrap it up, spray it, seal it, and when that fails, buy the set again. The Japanese approach is to work with the weather. Finish the wood from the inside, keep the water moving, let the air do its job, and step in with a light touch once a year. The cover was never protecting your furniture. The cover was the problem, the same way the next coat of paint is always the problem. That's the story, for now. If you found it worth your time, subscribing and hitting the bell costs you nothing and helps more than you'd think. Another one's coming tomorrow. Thanks for watching.